Hi, Jordan here, and with me is my dad. He is going to help introduce you to my latest game, ZX, and we are going to try and unpack the game.
Hi there. So, I see that you've got your latest game, version. What's this version stuff about? The top left corner.
Well, that's the current version of the game. Currently, it's version 0.1.6. It may change though when you get the game because it's constantly updating.
You're hopefully updating. And this interesting logo at the top. I see it's called, the game's called ZX. Where does that come from?
Well, ZX is because of the Z axis, which means 3D. So we could have done other axes like X-axis, but it doesn't really have the same ring, if you ask me.
Doesn't have the what? The same?
Ring.
Oh, ring, yes. Okay. So, how did ZX happen? I noticed on your YouTube channel that you had an older version of ZX. And I think you initially complained about that you don't have a very powerful computer. I think you're running this on a Mac, and it's not really a gaming platform or gaming OS, and you struggled. So most of your development's been on the Mac for Mac, and how did you? Yeah, and I think you also initially said that you built this game specifically because you couldn't get Minecraft loaded on it properly. Uh, you know, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, for some reason, Minecraft, no matter what we did, it didn't seem to be able to download the full version, so I was stuck with demo. So I decided to make ZX. The older version you see on my YouTube channel currently is an older version with world generation. The downside is it's very laggy. It has a bunch of bugs, it has world changes, chunks sometimes don't load, it's just quite buggy. And eventually it just got overwhelmed with all the projects and different things stuck in it, and yeah.
So how did you program that? A lot of stealing, a lot of. How did you actually manage to get going with ZX or even work with voxels and cubes? And I know initially we started, you were about 7 or 8, you were doing Blender. I think you were quite good with Blender. How did you evolve from Blender to Unity and C Sharp or C?
Well, first I really wanted to try and make a game. Originally I actually tried to use Blender to make as my game engine because I knew that Blender used to be an old game engine. It didn't quite work because I didn't know Python. And I tried to use drivers, which is, let's say you rotate an object, it changes the object's position to make it a small game. Of course, that wouldn't really work though in a proper game. So I tried to move on to Unity. Unity at the time I did not understand a single one of its complicated material systems and all that. So I didn't really do it much. Then I decided to try and make a small little zoo game, which I got overwhelmed, but that started Unity.
I think, how old were you then? You were like maybe 8 years old?
Maybe 8 or 9.
8 or 9, something like that. And I have to say, you never really were interested in these. I don't know how to put it, what type of game it was, but that learning stuff where you go 3 steps forward and if statement and 6 steps back. That never really, I don't know, computed with you. You never really enjoyed doing that. You really like the simplicity of code, pure code.
Yeah, it is quite nice. Pure code is definitely nice. And even though I've heard of visual scripting, by the way, visual scripting is just scripting, but you use it with nodes, a bit like Blender's shading system, where you drag and drop nodes to make a shader.
Okay. Maybe you can show us your latest game, and you programmed it in what? In
Pure C sharp, totally C sharp with some, of course, the Unity as a game engine to make it run on Mac and operating systems. And it definitely helped a lot because pure C sharp I would have to code a render engine with other languages. Yeah, Unity really does everything pretty much. But the code, of course, does the functionality.
Yeah, and you enjoy C Sharp?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite language.
And why do you enjoy it? I mean, have you looked at other languages? I noticed that you programmed in some other languages initially during the Harvard course.
Yeah, I did a bit of Lua. I never really liked it though. Along
Why?
with I don't know, it's just quite complicated and it just isn't, yeah. Plus I was using a kind of not a great render engine. It was just a simple 2D thing and I never really enjoyed it.
Okay, and C Sharp and Java?
Yeah, I quite like Java because it has rendering functionality. I do it sometimes on like IntelliJ, I think. But C Sharp is my main language.
Okay. Well, you want to show us your new game? This is the splash screen or the loading screen. Maybe you can just let us know how it works, what it is. You say it's a voxel game. What is a
Yes.
voxel game? What is voxels?
A voxel game is kind of like a 2D pixel game, however they added our dimensions. So basically it's made up of a bunch of cubes.
Okay, great. So you've got the splash screen,
Yeah.
nice colorful screen, and you want to create, obviously, you can create what's a new game, load game, delete game, quit game.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain that. And on the right-hand side, there's a
So,
little cog there.
yeah. So first we have our new game. So if we go new game, you just put in your world's name. So let's say hello world. And we can create it. Okay, you'll notice that we have a bunch of different blocks here. We can place any block we want. If let's say we place stairs, right, then we can use QE to rotate it left and right, and then R and F to rotate it up and down, or at least flip it.
Well, let's see what this. You went. I remember seeing this beforehand that it was an island. Show us the island, just
Yeah.
the initial. Because why did you want to go with the island? Just an island floating. Yeah. Why did you go with the island?
Mostly because the current system of ZX, if we were to do millions of voxels to make a full world, first of all, we would have to have boundaries because eventually it'd fall off the world, and the island just is okay because, well, it's an island, of course it floats. But plus, also because my rendering, each one of these voxels is an individual one, it's not laggy. In fact, it's quite unlaggy. It's quite a nice system. However, in the future, to make bigger worlds, eventually I'd need to create a better system for generating worlds and stuff.
I think looking at it, it's very snappy, but it's also because you developed this on a Mac. I mean, I know you've got the Mac Mini. We did get a reasonably powerful Mac Mini, but it's doing exceptionally well. Hey, I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the limitations to this game currently?
Well, currently the only real limitation is going downwards. You can go at y negative 15. Now that probably doesn't really mean anything, but in the actual code, it's y15 is the lowest height. But upwards, left, right, any other direction, you can go as high or as wide as you want. And
Okay.
you can expand the island or destroy the whole thing.
And you could, I remember you playing it, you can also build floating up. You can carry on further up. Can you go up? Show us how high you can go up. I mean,
Well, you can go up infinitely. Well, as powerful as your computer is, obviously, to render all these voxels.
and we did some, I remember you said that you did some initial stress testing, and it hardly wasn't expensive at all.
No, it was actually quite good.
Yeah.
It was really nicely. And the program is really quite small. It's under 100 meg currently.
Yeah, so that's great too. Hey, so show us some of the features that you can do.
So one of the latest features I've added to ZX is if you go on any block really, let's just place a red block, right? And we press C, then we on edit mode, and we can press any letter you want and then enter, and it's a word block.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. But show us maybe some of them so you can add some text-based stuff. That's
Yes.
interesting. A bit weird, but interesting. But shows how you quickly build a very small house, for instance.
Before I do that, one more feature is we have 14 blocks in our main hotbar, but obviously that's not enough, and not all of them in there. So if we press B, we have tons more of all our light blocks to ice and stained glass, all sorts.
Yeah, I noticed that you got this from a texture pack from some designer who graciously lets you use his stuff for the time being until we decide that we want to.
Yeah, we might change our textures later on, but currently this is using Easy Blocks textures. Really nice texture pack.
Yeah, and it's simple and effective. I noticed that quite a while back, maybe a week or two back, it didn't look as good, didn't look as bright and three-dimensional and shiny. What did you do to do that? Maybe you could...
So the reason why is every time you make a world, which is a mistake I learned from, is you make a 3D world in Unity. So what you do is you just make a 3D world. However, the lighting is very flat and bland. So what I did is I actually copied the whole project over from my GitHub page, copied the whole project over in a URP, which stands for Universal Render Pipeline, which lets me add all sorts of shaders, so on and so forth, just to make it look better visual effects.
Okay, so does Unity allow you to do that stuff, that kind of stuff?
Yep, all for free.
Okay, great. So it doesn't look too bad. So basically you can build anything. I see that you've got something else. What else? What other features can you do on this? Can you quickly build us a staircase? Show us a staircase going up. Delete some stuff.
Yep, let's. I haven't saved yet. I'll show you the save feature in a moment. If we go main menu now, we have our load. So if we load, we can load. Okay, let's just go back. We haven't saved it, so it didn't generate the file yet. So let's just make a new file. Wait. Okay.
Or you can go back to that original. You can go back to. I see you got an Aztec thing which you can show us there. What is that about?
Let's actually show you about that. So every time you generate, you load the game. If you haven't deleted the saves folder or you still have them, then we start with some different worlds, pre-built worlds. We have the Aztec Temple, the Rainbow House, and the Lighthouse.
And that was built by you and your sister, which is 7. So I mean, if your sister can do it and she's 7, then
hopefully you can do it.
Then you can do it, yeah. So there's literally no constraints to building anything. I mean, you pretty much can do what Minecraft can do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a limited blocks currently, but they will be added and animation blocks.
Okay, well, let's look at the Aztec temple quickly, and then you can...
Right, let's load. The reason why you load inside it is because the player controller, it spawns in the very center of the world. But as you see, we have an Aztec temple. We have our staircases. Now I really like this detail because they let you make it seem bigger.
Yeah, let's take that away.
Yep. If we press P, you can go in preview mode.
Maybe you can also show us and tell us a bit about the controls.
Yeah, it's mostly the default gaming controls, W, A, and D to move around.
So you would, and what else? And
your camera is obviously just controlled by your mouse. And
I see you can also go right through, unlike Minecraft, you can actually fly through the structure.
Yes, at this point I probably could add collisions. I'm still kind of debating whether I should or I shouldn't. I might add like half collisions where you, if you want, you can turn on collisions, but I wanted it so let's say you're building a tall wall, you can just pass through it. Or doors, which currently don't open, you wouldn't be able to get inside.
Well, let's go through it. And what have you done inside that thing?
So we have our, if we go up the stairs, we have our little room. Nothing too exciting in here.
Okay. And I noticed that so your controls allow you to delete, build.
I try to make sure that the controls are kind of like Minecraft, like right click to place and left click to break. So just so people Minecraft know the Minecraft controls, we'll be able to easily just use the game.
I think you spoke earlier about the size of the product being like plus minus 100 megs. It's something that someone can download quite fast, quickly, and we've tested it. I think you tested it. You told me yesterday you tested it on Windows 11 and you tested it on the Mac, and it
Yeah, it runs
was
smoothly.
painless, very smooth, very clean. No problems. Maybe you can show us some other builds that you've done.
Okay. If we exit it, we can go to our main menu. We can load the game. And let's load Rainbow House. Why not?
And that's your little sister did.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay. Let's just get it. Let's go in preview mode. We have a nice little swimming pool.
What is preview mode?
Preview mode is mostly for taking like screenshots, or if you're doing what I'm doing, just showcasing it. As you see, this is showing what the text can do.
So this is what a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old girl would love to do. She would build this. See, there's a pool on the left, and there's some plants, and it's called the Rainbow House. And yeah, let's have a look.
Okay. We also have a path block, which I really like. It's a bit smaller. I really like that. Actually.
I see it's slightly indented into the...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's quite small.
How did you do that?
It's about pixels smaller. A lot of these models, some of these models, like just the block, are just Unity default 3D blocks. But a lot of the models, like the path block, of course, is actually done in Blender because of the UV unwrapping to make sure that it isn't squashed.
So how did you manage to do that one? It's all code, I presume, telling it exactly how far to go down. I see it's a pixel depth down.
Yeah, all the blocks are actually identical. This is the same as this. It's actually just the mesh that is different.
Okay. So I noticed that you were worried about the way this was built. How did you find building this game compared to the older version of ZX? You spoke about the mesh, and you had to redevelop the whole rendering engine, and what did you have to do?
So in the old version of ZX, because it's rendering millions of blocks at a time, then
lots, not millions.
But no, millions, because of all the hundreds of stacks, so it would lag out you into any computer. So what I did is I merged the meshes, and that's a good idea, and I'm planning on doing something a bit different for this game. Currently, there's no real hectic lag control, so it just runs really smoothly. It's just this quite small game. But in future, if it just gets laggy for some reason, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to only render the blocks that are in your view.
Okay, and I mean, how difficult was it building this game? I mean, do you think this was did you struggle with this, building this?
Not the hardest.
How did you even start? How did you even get in? How did it even happen that you developed this game?
Well, my dad actually wanted me
to... Me?
Yes, a while ago, he actually didn't really hectically. He was excited about the original ZX, however, it got too hectic. And a while ago, quite a few months ago even, maybe a year ago, he wanted me to do ZX build, this game. It didn't work out though, and it ended up just being a weird thing on a pedestal.
Yeah, I think I actually said to you, listen here, can't you just frickin' design me a game where I can just build something very simple on a pedestal, and it can all be white with just blocks. So I think that was the idea, right? And then somehow, it was quite weird. There's certain times in one's life where you're not ready to do something, and it just seemed that you were ready to do this. It's quite strange. Yeah. But I mean, how did you find coding this? Did you find it easy, or was it a constant pain?
Well, it depends on what I was trying to code. Some parts were quite easy. Like the character controller, thinking about that, it's a very funny little thing. what happened is originally I couldn't figure out how to code the character controller, even though it's super
So what is a
simple.
character controller? What does that actually mean?
Well, the character controller part is just the thing that lets you do this movement, just forward, left, back, and then the camera controller, which is a different part, where if you're looking left and right, then it rotates the character. Or character, if you're looking up and down, it doesn't rotate the character. All it does is rotates the camera.
Okay.
Originally, I tried to install this asset from the Unity asset store, just to, but it was overly complicated. A lot of the code was way too complex for what I was trying to do.
So when was the first version? How long did you take to build this little game? I mean, when did you start with it? Not ZX, the other one, which was totally different build.
Yes,
but this simplifying the whole process and making it simple, make it efficient for people to download this and use it. And because I remember looking at the first ZX game and you could actually see through the world. It was pretty hectic.
Yes, that was caused by some mesh rendering bug.
And now you don't have any of those problems. It's great.
Yeah, I'm still going to have to do lag control eventually, but I don't think we need it right now. Yeah, I think it's okay for now.
Also, I think we struggled. I actually helped you a little bit about the way you saved your build. We used the CSV file and...
Yeah, the nice thing about that is it's fully editable and I put it in a readable format, unlike most games where they encrypt it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of made this whole game very simple, simplistic, which is good. I think simple is good. What else can you tell us about the controls and how to build stuff? Maybe you can go to the next particular...
Sure. Right, we can escape, main menu, and load it, and load our last world, the lighthouse. Okay.
The one thing I don't like about it is that obviously maybe in the future you can spawn. I think that's what you call spawn outside of the building. But yeah, I like that. It looks quite nice. That's a very simple little build. Why don't you build something quickly now? Not the lighthouse, but create a world, a new world, call it Hello World or go back to Hello World and create some simple little house and show us how the controls and the windows, how you'd do. I see you got some nice glass there, glass blocks and...
Yeah, we have glass blocks and water blocks.
It's very cool. Okay, why don't you do that quickly?
Yep, let's go to our main menu, new game, hello, world, okay, and create game. Now create game doesn't actually create the file yet, or it does is just creates the game. It's saving that actually generates the file.
So just do some blocks and let's see if it actually works.
Right, let's just get a block selection. If we choose, let's find a nice block. Okay, let's choose this, let's say.
And then it populates the top.
Yeah, it does a simplistic little replace. I'm not sure if that's okay. I might change it, might not. It's
okay, well,
fine.
That sounds great. That looks good.
Okay, let's get the base layout ready. Okay.
You can take this away, the top.
Yep.
What do you press, B or to get that?
So you press P to preview.
Okay, great. So now let's save. Let's save it and see it in the world creation.
Right. If we go escape to our main, sort of main menu, we go save. It's actually generated the file now. Now we go main menu, load, and we have Hello World as one of the options.
Okay,
now
that's
if
great.
we load, as you see, it saves it.
Okay. Would you mind showing us that CSV file? Or would you mind showing us that where it's created it? Or just show us what that CSV file looks like, just out of interest sake?
Absolutely. Okay. So, as you see, we have two folders that were generated.
I see you've got a folder there called screenshots. I remember you telling me earlier that the game can take screenshots also, which is quite cool.
Yes, it's of course using the default gaming key FN F2 or F2, and it just, every time you click F2, it just generates a screenshot.
Okay, cool. And that's handy for maybe one day when you want to do some competition stuff, maybe in the future.
Yeah. Right, let's exit screenshots. We have our saves folder, and as you see, we have all our saves, like our Aztec Temple and our Hello World we just created.
Okay, so basically you could send that, if you had this product, this ZX game, you could just go and copy someone else's world.csv file, and then it would automatically populate the world in your game.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Let's have a look at the CSV.
Okay. Okay, so here we have the save file. Because it's done in .csv format, and I formatted the saves in a certain way with commas, then the numbers application can read it.
So what is that? What does this particular part mean? Can you tell us?
So the first part is our position, X, Y, and Z position.
Okay, that's interesting.
The next one is what ID block is. And the ID is just changes depending on what texture, and tells the game when it's loading what texture it is, things like that.
Okay, great. So,
and last we have our rotation.
Okay, and this is that simple. And I see this is a big file there. If you open this up in a plain text document, you would see how hectic this is.
Yes.
So let's do that. Just show how hectic that is.
This hurts my eyes, so let's not
Wow,
scroll.
that's crazy. Wow, that's just the hello world. No, and it's very small. So, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, a majority of this is actually the world file. So we of course have to save the world file within this after you save.
Is there no better way of actually saving it so that it pre-populates it? Or do you think this is the most efficient way of doing it? You haven't come up with
Now, I
way.
probably could have made this way shorter, except it would remove a lot of functionality where you couldn't destroy the world. Even though it would make it way smaller, I still don't really want to do that.
Okay, cool. I mean, this is tiny, right? So how big is that little file there?
Okay, let's see. Okay, the file is 83 kilobytes.
Okay, cool. Great. So I think we go back to, let's create a new world, or go back to the original world and see if you can show people just a basic build.
Sure. Okay, we are back in the game.
Looks quite nice.
Right, let's just get our birch block back. Now, there are a few things the saves don't save. The saves only save the world blocks. We might save the character position and the inventory slots. Maybe. Not sure whether it's necessary.
Okay.
Okay, let's get some blocks. And
let's go and see how fast you can show us.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just building the columns.
What are we building?
I guess a tiny little house. Probably made this a bit too small, but whatever. Okay. So we can just fill this part in, and we can probably also add some windows. We also have a door and some interior things like bookcases. And what's quite funny is the Minecraft texture, the back part of a Minecraft loom actually looks like an empty bookcase. And because I don't have a loom in this game, I'm not going to add one, then I'm just using that as an empty bookcase texture.
Nice.
So just an extra detail block.
Don't tell Minecraft that.
Right, if we just fill in the roof, probably way too small, but...
You also told me a while back that that it was actually quite difficult to add blocks, and you came up with this really cool idea. Maybe you can explain,
Yes, originally what I had is a system where I made a block. I had to set its ID and its name, and if I got that ID wrong, then the whole save system would break because it saves the wrong ID, and I think the whole save system broke, and I would spend an hour in the code and find out it's just a broken ID. So instead, I got rid of the ID variable. I hid it. So instead now, even though it uses a tad more processing power maybe, I'm not sure, but it's probably so little that unless you have an awful computer,
I don't think you have to worry about that.
yeah, you won't have to worry about it, but all it does is just automatically sets the IDs to make sure, just to simplify my process. Okay, we are done.
Nice
we
window.
can go to a bookcase. Yep, we'll add windows. Okay. We can add our windows. There we go. And let's fill it in with glass. Now, I'm not sure whether to add glass planes quite glass planes quite yet, but we might add them before you play it.
That was funny.
Okay, let's add a little bookshelf quick.
Nice.
And we can maybe mix in some empty bookshelves. There we go.
That looks really cool. Let's have a look at the house. It's probably freaking awful outside.
Yep.
It is. It's terrible.
Okay,
anyway,
we can add a roof. So if we just get some staircases, which is nice for roofs, let's just make a cobblestone roof, let's say. So we find our cobblestone. Now, if you look at the Easy Blocks textures or you use it in your proper Minecraft demo mode or whatever your Minecraft is, then you'll notice that I actually did edit one of the textures in the Easy Blocks. The reason why is because I added one texture and it looked identical to another texture. And it's fine, but I just needed that block. I kind of wanted that block, so I just edited it in a little 2D drawing program I have.
Yeah, we might. Well, I mean, you're lucky to have a very talented mother that can do everything. I mean, she's also, helped you with some of your coding. So it's very important to have someone that is a top programmer.
Yeah. No, she helped me in literally every project I've ever made, whether it's ZX or some random project I just started.
She not helped you code, but helped you kind of with the logic. Because, I mean, coding's all about logic, right?
Yeah, mostly, yeah. I mean, Mom's usually just to help me with a few coding errors, but yeah.
Oh, that looks quite nice. Let's step back. Let's have a look at that window.
Okay, wait. Now, I do kind of want to add, let's say, like a corner stair block, because currently I just use full blocks.
Yeah.
But that will be a necessity to add. Obviously, I've not done the roof. I need to add an overhang bit.
Yeah. But anyway, it's better than nothing. And you can do a path. You spoke about that really cool path.
Yep.
Which is...
You can choose our path block.
I know your sister loves this game. And of course it's, it's been tested on the latest software, so...
Yeah.
And it's free. Okay, so what else can you tell us about the game? What do you want to do in the future with it? I was thinking of something exciting, like maybe creating lamps that glow automatically, or that you can program cubes to do things.
That is an interesting idea. Now, that might change this game's idea a bit, and it might be interesting. It might be a disaster, but it might be interesting.
Yeah. I see. How did you manage to do the doors? Because they're not cubes and they're inset like that. It's quite interesting.
Yes, what they are is, first I just modeled a cube, just a slot in Blender. And if you look at Minecraft's texture packs, you'll notice the doors aren't one block. They're actually two textures, and top and bottom, which is a bit irritating, but I didn't want to change the texture pack a lot. So I just made it this. Now you can see there's a bit of an error, like there's no door handle, but yeah, I'll have to maybe fix that.
Yeah, I mean, this is an early release. This is like literally super early release. Maybe you can show us some of what IDE you use and some of the code and just some basic stuff. So, yeah, would you mind doing that?
Sure. I'm actually using Visual Studio Code, so I'll put that up quick. Okay, we are in Visual Studio Code now.
I know
Here's my
you don't want to
project.
give too much away, but I mean, I see how you've structured your stuff, your code, and how have you structured your code? Is there some kind of format that you've learnt? I mean, how do you code? What's your preferred way of coding? Like your layout over there.
Yeah, so now we have of course our name of the Unity file, and the rest is kind of just rubbish. You don't need to worry about that. Of course, we have our inside our assets, and then we have our scripts, which has all our scripts. Okay. We have our textures, which is all our different textures, like our background, stuff like that.
Okay.
And just a few prefab, stuff like that. Just the Visual Studio Code can't read.
And I suppose you could show us one of the pages that you develop in. What did you find the most difficult in your? What was the most difficult particular piece of code that you had to develop?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, there are quite a lot of difficult pieces. Probably the placing block, which is a huge mess. It's a huge script. It's over 100 lines long, I think.
That's not that bad. That's like nothing.
Compared to some scripts, yes.
Okay, but
my standards.
Well, your standards. Okay. So, and I mean, what was the length of time do you think it took you to build this whole thing?
Well, I actually checked this morning the date, and I think it was a few months now.
So
it's took some time.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 months, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Perhaps because you didn't even know how to do this. You had no help. There was a little bit of obviously internet and YouTube and what's the other resources that you use?
Obviously, there was a lot of in my history. There's a ton of Stack Exchange now, but
Exchange, absolutely. Everyone uses that. But I mean, when you got stuck, where did you go?
I just wrote the problem in, and I either got Microsoft with C# or just Unity forums. It's really nice.
Okay. So, and I noticed that you sometimes, just to kind of hone your skill, you did some coding challenges.
Yeah, I'm still trying to do a online website called HackerRank.
Yeah, it's HackerRank, yeah.
And basically you try and it gives you some challenges that people made, and you try and solve them.
Yeah. And you also did some certification there, C# certification. Somehow they gave you a certificate somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's great. Let's go back to the game, and so that's kind of the layouts.
Yeah, I'm actually showing a bit of a script here, but
that's fine.
Yeah, we have our little screenshot script.
That's incredibly simple.
Of course, it's just a screenshot. It's literally one thing.
Maybe you can show us the screenshot quickly, the particular on your actual game.
Sure. Okay, we are in the game now.
Okay, that's great. So maybe let's go look outside. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us? I mean, there's no rules, right? You could build above the island. You can actually delete the whole island, can't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can if you, let's say, want to build like a huge rock, let's say, or whatever, really.
So the island is just pre-made island that floats there. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you can practically build anything.
Yeah, and that's great. Anything else that you can tell us about the game? Anything else that you'd like to see in the future?
There is actually one thing I forgot to mention. So if we go to main menu, new game, let's say, just quickly make a new world. Hello. Okay, let's just create it. We build our tall tower, let's say, just to show it's hello. We save it, go to our main menu. We load game. Okay, we can load our hello. You know all this by now. But if we go to main menu, there's actually a button I haven't shown you, delete. And you can delete any file you want, pretty much anything any .csv file in that folder, but it should generally be saved. And if for some reason you stuck a random .csv file in there,
Yeah,
delete
that's
it.
great. That makes sense.
And you can just select world and delete, and it's gone.
Great. Can you show us the screenshot?
Okay, let's load our hello world. Okay, it's going in a nice position in preview mode. Okay, the only thing I kind of do want to remove is in preview mode is a highlight. It is a bit irritating.
Yeah.
So I'll hide that in preview. So hopefully by the time you play this game, if you play this game, then it should be gone.
So this is more like a sandbox game. I mean, are you ever going to add animals or creatures or AI stuff? I mean, it'd be pretty awesome if you could code blocks. If you could get blocks to do things like glow or...
It's still up to a bit of debate. Maybe the glowing blocks. Because you see, the reason why it's like the lamp block, it's just the normal block. It doesn't glow at all. Because there's no real darkness. If you blocked yourself up, it'd still be
you have
light.
like light. Yeah, so there is no darkness.
I mean, I'm not sure whether that's a good thing though, because if you play Minecraft, then you'll know that it's a horrible trying to hide all your lights under carpets, literally.
Yeah.
So it might be nice to just have like no real lighting, but I'm not sure. It's still up to debate.
Are you surprised how easy it's got to build this game? I know it looks very simple, but you can literally build everything, and it's super simple, super efficient. The code works really well. I mean, it's gone really well. Have you?
Yeah. In this early access version, there may still be like a hidden bug I haven't found, but yeah, it will be ironed out eventually.
I think you put your, your sister. She thoroughly tested this. Do you think she was a good tester?
For about an hour she tests it, and she moans if I have to pull her away to actually carry on fixing the bugs.
Yeah, so she really enjoys it.
So I guess that's a good sign?
I think that's a good sign. Okay.
So let's take a screenshot now.
Okay, great, go for it.
So if we press Fn, F2, okay, and exit it, now we have our little screenshot. And it is in full high definition. Let's just open it quick. Okay, and here it is.
Oh, that's cool. Let's see how big it is. What resolution you said?
Okay, so if we just make it a bit smaller, if we select it, it's full high definition.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. I think that's it then. Yeah,
I think there's a good time to leave off.
Yeah, and I think if people can download your game and give you some really constructive feedback, that would be great. Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, if you find any bugs, then please type it down in the comments or in the game or something like that.
Or magic. Telekinesis. No, I mean, obviously add it on the comments box on the YouTube channel, or we'll figure out something else, how to comment.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. What do you say? Cheers.
Bye. And see you next video.